What is going on out there, peeps? Okay, so I did a video this morning, and then I had kind of a little bit of a family emergency. Everything is fine and dandy. It's kept me preoccupied for the first part of the day. Um, all is good. Um, Unfortunately, I missed out on a opportunity to do an interview with Charlie there, but obviously, while I was dealing with what was going on with Family Matters, there was a lot of other things going on at the same time. I will address all of them separately. So, gold, let's get into this because this is, again, I'm watching what's going on at the IMF. Um, there's a lot of things going on in regards to gold and silver. There's a lot of talk about it. So, we're going to get into that here in just a second. All right, you guys, for those of you thinking about buying precious metals, and right now is the time to do so, give our friends over there at Money Metals Exchange a consideration. The link is in the description. If you buy more than $100 worth of precious metals and you're a first-time buyer, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and you will get a free half ounce of silver. All right, you guys, and trust me, you want that free half ounce. I can't stress that enough. Okay. Anyways, besides that, there is we have over here Pimpy's Investment Chat, which is the same name as the YouTube channel. Over here, we do talk about gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as foreign currency investments. No politics. Bring the politics over here, which is the hidden things in front of your eyes. Over here, we do talk about QAnon, NESARA, GESARA, politics, current events, 9/11 false flag events. Just be respectful of one another. And for those of you, I do have a Twitter account. So the links for all these are in the description. Come join me. All right. So I seen this article and I was going over it, which is a really good article. So it looks, or it appears, that most of the central banks since sometime around 2012, 2013 or so, and this article is saying as early as 2015. Oh no, this guy said he put his article out there. That central banks started making a move on gold. What we're finding out is a lot of them had already planned what was going on, and they knew that what they were doing was some scandalous crap, which we know about. But around 2020, they would move us into this new, whatever it is, this new monetary system, which apparently, according to all the notes, looks like they were going to move us back into sound money, which is the gold standard, one way or another. Gold was going to be reset, gold, silver. So this article goes on, it says, as early as 2015, I put forward the idea that the year 2020 looked like the leading contender for the monetary system reset. This is a global currency reset. This is a global monetary reset that we've been talking about. I'm hearing all kinds of chatter about it during this IMF meeting. Nothing big has come out. Well, I won't say big. There's a lot of stuff in there that tells me that this was all planned. Everything that we're seeing right now was planned, even down to the pandemic. Anyways, this person says, I reached a conclusion based on a trend I had spotted in the gold repatriation timeline announced by a number of European central banks beginning in 2013. And who better to know the inside plans for a future and much needed reset of the financial system than the world's most powerful central bank, which of course is the European Central Bank. The unaccountable and secretive institutions where gold is at the heart of their balance sheets and would be the neutral and reserve asset anchored in any new international monetary system. What they're saying is, so gold is held different locations for central banks. They all of a sudden start pulling in their tickets, saying, hey, I know you're holding our gold supply. We'd like to go ahead and pull it all back. Several central banks did this. Besides the global financial crisis that began in 2007 and 2008, never really ended, it was merely patched up, prolonged, and put on life support by central banks intervention in the form of uneasing quantitative easing, asset buying, and artificially low interest rates. So I was reading this article, which goes on again to tell you that this, whatever this is, this global currency reset, the goal was to have it happen in 2020, which we happen to be in 2020. So moving along, watching my normal people that I do when it comes to information. So over here, Life Growth Academy happened to cover that same article today, but they get into detail. So we're going to comment over this video, but it's important for you guys to pay attention because I keep telling you, the one thing that I love is my subscribers are way ahead of the curve, way ahead.
The excellent gold analyst Ronan Manley anticipated enormous gold repatriations to be concluded before 2020, as he stated in this tweet. 2020 appears to be a milestone for gold repatriation. Bundesbank and now Austrian Central Bank 2020 system reset, and that was sent in 2015. Today we investigate the mass gold repatriation of 2020 ahead of the Great Reset. So the introduction of the most outrageous monetary policy with near zero interest rates and a Fed balance sheet which subsequently went over the $4 trillion mark. Thereafter, the Fed and other central banks soon found themselves unable to actually ever normalize monetary policy or their balance sheet once again. So in this great article, Ronan Manley outlines some of these gold repatriations.
So that's the same article that I had. So I was already reading it, and then all of a sudden I see my boy here is talking about this same article, which is really nice because I like when that happens.
Link is in the description. So back in 2013, the German central bank, the Bundesbank, began to move 700 tons of gold from vaults at the New York Fed and the Bank of France back to Frankfurt. At that time, they publicized this press release. By 2020, the Bundesbank intends to store half of Germany's gold reserves in its own vaults in Germany. The other half will remain in storage at its partner central banks in New York and London. To this end, the Bundesbank is planning a phased relocation of 300 tons of gold from New York to Frankfurt, as well as an additional 374 tons from Paris to Frankfurt by 2020.
Woo.
A little later, in May 2015, Austria's central bank announced that it too would repatriate gold stored in London to its vaults in Vienna in what it referred to as the 2020 gold storage policy.
So again, what we're seeing is central banks around the world, and we're seeing that now. I showed you guys several articles in which central banks all over the place are bringing back to their physical control gold that they've been storing in other locations. Not just them, but also these very rich people, including the Rothschild family. I told you in one of their estates, and they've had now for God knows how long, because they have a vault on this property in which they've been storing gold now for 261 years. Let that sink in.
Austrian central bank stated by the year 2020, 50% of Austria's gold reserves are to be held in Austria, 30% in London and 20% in Switzerland. Manley believes that this may well have been a coordinated strategy to regain control of as much gold reserve assets as possible in advance of a pre-planned system reset.
We know this is happening. There's a stress on the comics right now. They're still manipulating to this day the market price. What they're trying to do is keep, and I told you this was going to happen, keep the market as low as possible while they continue to buy up as much gold and precious metals as possible. We're to the point now where China, and I did a video yesterday, I showed you guys that China has stopped buying gold. They're now swooping up as much silver as possible, and they're doing it at a neck-breaking pace.
deadline of 2020. Now, this clip highlights Ronan discussing the activities of these secretive organisations back in 2016.
So Ronan, what are some of the central bank trends that you're seeing here now in 2016?
That's a really good question, and it's, I think, critical to the gold market between now and 2020, because I actually think that if there is a reset of the international monetary system, 2020 seems to be one of the dates that it could happen on. For example, everyone is aware that Germany, the Bundesbank, Deutsche Bundesbank, has been repatriating some of its gold from both Paris and from New York. And this particular repatriation exercise started in 2013 and is ending in 2020. And I think it's interesting that they say 2020. So that could be a very subtle symbol of the fact that something is going to happen in 2020.
And so by August 2017, the German Bundesbank referred to a hard and fast deadline, announcing that it had completed its gold repatriation ahead of schedule. The press release used unusually precise and urgent language, which was also evident when the Austrian Central Bank used the same phrase in 2018. Other central banks were also involved, including the Dutch Central Bank in October and November of 2014.
So what you're hearing is, since 2007, 2008, a lot of these central banks have been repatriating their gold, bringing it back under their physical control at their locations. They are preparing for some type of monetary reset. We've been talking about this, a global currency reset, and gold is going to play a huge part of it. So if gold plays a huge part of what's going on, obviously it's going to cause the silver market as well to rise. So everybody be prepared, because the prices that you're seeing right now on gold and silver are not going to stay there.
Repatriating gold from the New York Fed to Amsterdam, but only announcing this upon the completion of this gold transfer. In fact, the Dutch Central Bank in April 2019 went as far as to say that gold is the anchor of trust for the financial system. If the system collapses, the gold stock can serve as a basis to build it up again. Gold bolsters confidence in the stability of the central bank's balance sheet and creates a sense of security. Poland and Hungary followed a similar pattern in the first 6 months of 2019.
So what are we seeing here? We're seeing the same criminals who put us in the position that we are economically, use the Rona as an excuse to make some changes. All are saving their own asses by grabbing their gold, and they're about to do a global currency reset or a global reset period. What happens is when we come out on the other side, people cannot just be content at all. You have to demand people go to jail, people get locked up. So let's pay attention to what's going on.
Poland announced a massive purchase of 100 tons, where transfers to Warsaw concluded in November 2019. Now, the rationale of the Polish central bank in doing this was, in its own words, because gold is the most reserve asset. It is a kind of confidence anchor, especially in times of tensions and crises. Gold secures Poland's financial strength, even in extreme unfavourable conditions. Meanwhile, Hungary increased its gold reserves tenfold, from 3.1 tonnes of gold to 31.5 tonnes. They swiftly had this repatriated from London. Now, interestingly...
No, what are we seeing? In 2020, we're seeing this mass scramble for central banks to get their gold back. We're seeing big dogs, pension funds, hedge funds, billionaires moving into gold.
These countries are all contiguous neighbours, and this would seem to reinforce the highly coordinated approach they seem to have chosen to use in this gold repatriation. Indeed, it would seem highly plausible that they would agree their strategy at the Bank for International Settlements, the BIS, in Switzerland. Thus, the board of directors of the BIS would have had full knowledge of these developments. But given that meeting agendas and minutes are held as top secret, these documents will never be exposed. But the wider developments and behaviour of central banks during this period is well worth exploring briefly. We all know that central banks have, since the last crisis in 2008, remained net buyers of gold. While this has largely been led by Russia and China, other central banks started joining in on the action. Indeed, the period between 2011 and 2016 saw a significant bear market for gold, during which time central banks globally continued adding to their reserves.
So bear, remember, they devalued, what he's saying is, between that time period, they devalued gold so they can add to their holdings.
In fact, the first half of 2019 saw record purchases by central banks, which amounted to $15.7 billion, according to the Financial Times.
Okay, so what this means is what? The central banks are and have planned for a reset, a monetary reset. Their plan was for this to happen in 2020, magically the same time that the Rona came out. Go figure, Is there a reset going to happen this year? All things point to a reset. Everything points to a reset happening this year, 2020. We're halfway now through October. We don't have a lot of time left, so this is going to be very interesting. Anyways, I wanted to share this with you because I want you guys to feel great about your investments. Hang tight, you guys. It's going to be crazy, but you guys, look, when we come out on the other end, you're going to be way better off than you are today. All right, you guys, that's it for now. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. And I'll catch you later.